My name is Councillor Andy Strangeway, East Riding of Yorkshire Councillor. It is 10:20 on Tuesday the 16th of October 2018. Graham Baverstock has requested I visit him in Scarborough Hospital today to enable him to express his opinions on video regards ERYC failing to provide him with the care he requires. Is it correct, Graham, that ERYC phoned you yesterday to discuss your care without arranging this first with you in advance?
It is. Yes, good morning, Andy. Yes.
Good morning.
They were sent to Section 2 by the hospital yesterday. That meant they have to come and assess me for care needs at home. Instead, I got a phone call yesterday afternoon from the team manager, who is condescending. She was bullying me, manipulating me, forcing me in the corner. They've got no idea about how to provide care to me, and herself, Lynn Thou, and Lee Thompson, and others within her group are deliberately withholding care from me to ensure that my life just ebbs away.
Is there anything you believe that they are doing incorrectly with regards to attempting to do this care assessment?
The council, for several years, from 2005, lied and perverted a course of evidence in court. They claimed I had someone else's care package in 2005, despite the fact that the Director of Social Services wrote to the hospital in 2000, telling them I had living care 24/7. I'm at loss to explain how in 2000 I had 24/7 care, but in 2005, some 5 years later, it was all a mistake. Again, in 2008, I had 43.75 hours of care per week, and in 2008, 9, 10, 11, the local authority were paying £46,000 a year for living care 24/7. When my carer left to go to Morocco, the council then cut me down to 7 hours a week. Since that point, I've had no care from them. I've relied on friends and neighbours. However, there is systemic lying, systemic abuse, systemic bullying. They are manipulating hospitals, professionals, other professionals, in order to ensure that they can minimise my care needs. They are going over old ground from what was said in court in 2005, what occupational therapists have said, doctors said. Seems to me that the reputation of eminent consultants, stroke specialists, heart specialists, nursing staff are being impinged upon by this systemic corruption within social services to deceive.
Could I just ask you, I was talking to one of the nursing staff this morning, and they were saying that these phone calls that you're finding quite exhausting and they're having a negative effect on your health.
These phone calls, this manipulation from the council is actually driving me to my grave. I've recent weeks taken about 8 or 9 overdoses in my plight, and I've now got to a point that I'm not prepared to meet East Riding Council or speak to them ever again unless my advocate, that's Councillor Strangeway, is present, or I have somebody in the hospital authority who is present to witness the conversations that take place. Whatever I seem to say is being manipulated by the social services. They say they want to consider my views. Every time I try to tell them about my views, they silence me with their own agenda to force me to accepting care that does not meet my need. They now have offered a care plan from the 22nd of October, which relates to the fact that I had to spend some 13 hours in bed every single day between a call because they cannot be bothered. They say about my abusive behaviour. Well, I've never had care staff in my home for 9 years. The only people I will admit to abusing is the very people who are abusing me, which is social services, and that will continue.
I'm just wondering here, Graham, I'm at a loss how they can carry out an assessment when you are feeling bullied and that they're saying you can't have your advocate here.
Well, yeah, again, Councillor, under the Care Act, I'm entitled to have present whom I want as my representative, as my advocate. I'm entitled to have an assessment at home carried out, and an independent assessment at that. The council has said in a meeting with the team manager that they will offer me an independent care assessment, an independent occupational therapist assessment, and I have stated, and I'll state on record again, that I will agree to such assessments. However, East Riding Council, who are the commissioning body for these assessments, will not accept the findings of the assessments they are commissioning. And as such, my solicitors wrote to them on the 23rd of July stating that it was pointless going through these assessments and this intrusive regime if the council was not going to accept their own findings.
Could you inform, Graham, those which are happy to share with people, what are your care needs currently?
My care needs are that I need to get up in the morning, I need to get washed in bed, I need to get shaved, I need my personal care seen to, I need a breakfast to be done, I need tea to be done, my catheters to be done, generally my pressure area to be applied cream to, etc. And basically, you cannot do it in a time allowing. It is impossible. The council's own staff, and it's recorded by Rosie Pope, the late Rosie Pope, is that the care staff take 55 minutes just to bath me, and now they give me an hour just to get me up. And now their argument is the council, by two carers in, is double time. It's still 21 hours. Well, they're not actually offering 21 hours at the moment, they're offering me 19.50 hours. And that's a reduction from 24/7 care. And I keep saying to the council, and this is important, Andy, how does my care needs get less when my conditions have got worse, and yet my care has got less than compared to 2011, when I had living care and the council turned around now and say, we don't want to talk about it.
Could I just go back, Graham, to 1999? Is it right that East Riding Council spent £18,000 on your property, which was rented off the council at the time, to put an extension on the back because you required living care, and since then the medical staff in this hospital will confirm that your health has got worse?
Yep. What they did, not only did they spend £18,000 on adapting the property, putting an extension on, they also spent £66,000 worth on ramps. They've also internally altered the structure of the kitchen, the bathroom, the hallways, they moved all the doors. The council has spent in excess of £125,000 adapting my bungalow to suit their needs. Now the bungalow's done, and I've had a bath hoist for many, many years, they now say I need a wet room, which is more cost to the council. I don't need a wet room, I just need carers to get me in a bath and get me out, which is quite easy.
To those listening to you here, Graham, like myself, they just won't be able to understand this, but I received a letter which I published about a week, 2 weeks ago, from Lee Thompson, the ERYC Head of Adult Services. And in that, Lee Thompson stated, although there was spare hours, I'm ad-libbing this, but spare hours a week or so ago to care for you, there's no availability this week. Would it not appear to any decent person that this is not about providing you with the care that the East Riding Council must provide you with under the Care Act? What is at stake here is that East Riding Council do not have the staff to provide that care.
What it is, Andy, with the council, they are giving me these hours knowing that I will refuse them, right? And I refuse them on the grounds that they do not meet my need. Now, Lee Thompson said to me there was 21 hours available, right, on a temporary basis, until they can do an assessment. But Lee Thompson won't agree with the findings of his own assessment. Right. Secondly, regarding the care hours, they told me that the 21 hours is not subject to any criteria, is there on an ad lib basis. However, each and every time, like we did on Scarborough recently, they told the nursing sister 21 hours. When I got home, it became 14 hours. Last week was the same, that they can't provide care. This week's the same. In actual fact, from today's date, the 16th of October, they cannot provide any care in my home until the 22nd of October. What they've offered me is a step-down bed. What I want to say to the public, as a victim of child abuse, suffering horrendous rapes as a child, it was pointed out in a letter in 2008 to Mrs. Pope, the former head of Adult Social Services, that residential care is not an option, that 3 hours a day when they were offering me was unlawful, it was not meeting my needs, and basically I have to be cared for at home. They knew this. Now 10 years later, they're still now going back saying we're offering residential care, we're offering residential care. I am never going to accept residential care in my life. One, because I do not trust the system because of my child abuse. I was raped over 50 times by a Catholic priest who was currently serving prison sentences. Yes, I've got psychological damage, but I've got 17 medical diagnoses, some very serious in terms of heart failure, stroke failure, COPD. That's just a few to mention it, along with osteoporosis and everything else. At the end of the day, I'm happy to go through any assessment the council want to go through, but I've been there that many times, that many assessments. The council are just moving the goalposts every week, every month, every year to suit their own hidden agenda to ensure I cannot get care to meet my needs. And then when they offer me these ludicrous hours, they turn around and say, well, if you don't want it, you're refusing it. Well, if I take it, it doesn't meet my need, so what's the point of having it?
I'm just listening to that, Graham, and I'm at a loss to understand as an East Riding councillor here that it appears that East Riding Council are not listening to the Humber Mental Health, your doctor, or the people in this hospital. How is your health currently?
My health is very poor. I'm in heart failure. But it's fact, Andy, that the East Riding Council, they ask for assessments, they ask for reports, and then they pick and choose what they want to set me up. They've refused to listen to my GP, they've taken no notice of the hospital, they've taken no notice of Humber Mental Health. They've been letters from Humber Mental Health saying that, you know, it's because of this emotional stress that they're putting me through, this is driving my health even further down the line. The hospital are well aware as well that my health is deteriorating seriously. I'm very frail and fragile. I cannot have the physical strength to stand up now or do anything, and the council continue to harass me, to bully me, to abuse me, to neglect me, to traumatise me to a point that they've drove me to commit suicide. They've driven me to take aspirin. Basically, the last 8 weeks of my life has been the worst nightmare of my lifetime, and that includes my rapes by a priest.
To summarise, Graham, is there anything else you would like to conclude this with? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would like to say a lot. I would like to say basically that when I die, and the way I'm going on, I won't be here for much longer. But I want everyone, including the police and the coroner, to know that East Riding Council are corrupt in public office, they are lying in public office, they're committing malfeasance in public office, they are manipulating professionals, doctors, physios, consultants, you name it, they're manipulating them. They want me to live their life, to do as I'm told, to do what they want, when they want, when they how. And quite frankly, this process now has exhausted me to a point when I really want to give up. I've actually, only yesterday, threatened to go and take a major overdose, slash my wrist, and then end up hanging myself up a tree. I cannot take any more. This is offensive. No matter who you are in the world, no matter what your problems are, no matter what's been said and done, at the end of the day, physical, disabled people deserve proper care. Not forced to live like I once lived at the council's hands, 64 nights, not going to bed, living in excrement, day in and day out. This is a kind of inhumanity these social workers do. And when you ask them questions, why? What's changed? What's different? You always said, they always tell you they don't want to go there. They don't want to talk about it. They just want to ignore. So despite them spending a lot of money in court in 2005, claiming I had someone else's care package, what is ironic about this is that I got it back again in 2008, 9, 10, 11 for £46,000 a year. That means £138,000 of public money is being spent. And they're saying now they're accountable for the care they give. Well, who's going to be accountable in the council for all this wasted money that they spent on my care needs now they say I don't need? And who's going to get fired for that? The point is, they are manipulating everybody. They are lying to councillors. They are misinforming councillors. They are anybody who takes interest in my welfare, my safety, or my health is being manipulated. It is one continuation of threats, bullying, victimisation, abuse. And it's time there was an independent inquiry into what's going on at East Riding Council. Never mind having a meeting with East Riding Council and then having a meeting with myself. Let's all have a meeting with somebody who can investigate and let me ask the questions, because only 2 weeks ago or so, Councillor Strangeway came to the hospital to see myself and my sister in his role as my advocate, where Councillor Strangeway asked a simple question, but the staff then got the coat on and were going to leave. So in other words, if you say something you don't like, they're leaving. If you say something you don't like, they put the phone down. All they want you to do is listen to what they say, bully you, manipulate you, and basically cut you into size of a box so they've got you covered as a number. The whole system of social care in East Riding is corrupt. It's on its knees and it has to go into special measures. These people are not social workers. They are silent abusers, annihilating the very frail people they're supposed to care for.